Hi everybody, Bobby Morano here, making video log number 1 for curriculum and assessment. Today I am going to be talking about what curriculum means to me. So, based off of the readings, I thought that the author that put curriculum into the simplest terms was Ornstein. Now, he said that curriculum is essentially a plan that you create in order to achieve specific goals for your students. Now, in simplest terms, yes, I absolutely agree that is what curriculum is. But I liked that Ornstein elaborated on that some more and said it's not just about the subject matter that you're teaching your students, but it's also about the experience that your students have under your direction. I think that that is so important, especially in music education. Um, it's not just about learning the right note names or learning how to read rhythms. Music is so much an experience. It's not just about the concrete subject inside of music. Um, Obviously, all of us had a great school experience, or else we might not be music educators at this point. It's something that we had such a good experience that we decided to make a career out of it. So I think that he really hit the nail on the head with that. Now, is there a right way to design a curriculum? I think there are many ways to design a curriculum well. Um, this is actually an area where I'm hoping to improve in this class. I've always felt that I had a great college education in the sense that I became such a well-rounded musician. My oral skills, my theory, my playing, my performance ability. I just really went from 0 to 100 in the 4 years I had in undergrad. But I only had, I think, like 5 education classes, and always felt like they were, just really compressed. Like they were just giving you the bare bones of education. And in teaching now for 2 years, there have been a lot of times where I've just felt a little bit underinformed about a lot of the processes in schools and just how to develop a curriculum. If I had to create a curriculum, um, I don't know even where I would start. Interesting, I think that the way a lot of teachers are taught to teach to the test, music teachers are taught to teach to the concert. The ensemble is really the meat and potatoes of our job. And I'm talking more in general music aspects now. I, uh, I'm a little bit at a loss. I am really looking forward to learning how to really create a curriculum that's sequential and makes sense, which is of course important. Another thing you have to consider when creating a curriculum is the demographic of your students. For instance, I grew up in city of Buffalo, very urban area. I was exposed to a lot of different kinds of music. Specifically, my friends got me into hip hop, rap music when I was younger, and that's something that I've always carried with me. And I've always felt very eclectic in my music tastes. But now I'm teaching in a rural urban area, and the students are a lot more into folk music and country, and that's something that I don't have as much experience in. So it's been a learning experience for me as well, trying to expose them to music, and they've also been exposing me to music that I've never listened to before. So with my curriculum, if I'm going to keep it relevant to my students, I have to consider their interests and not just what I know as a musician. Um, to understand music, I think that this can be measured in 2 different ways. As I was saying before, I think not only should your curriculum cater to the subject matter, but also to the experience that your students are going to get out of it. Um, what do you want your students to learn? Again, I'm focusing more on the general music aspect right now, but do you want your students in a general music classroom? Is your goal to make them phenomenal musicians, or is your goal to make them love music? Now, obviously, the more concrete aspects of that are a lot easier to measure. Can they read note names? Can they identify bass and treble clef? Things like that. That's easy to assess and find out. Do they understand that aspect of music? But I'm interested in, do they appreciate music? Can you teach them to appreciate different styles of music, classical music? And it's a little bit more difficult to measure that, to understand if you really touch a student in that way. But I think that it's worthy of thinking about when you're creating a curriculum. So, um, one thing I also saw in the reading that I really liked was the twin sins. So, again, I think this is super relevant to music teaching. In my general music classroom, with sort of my lack of curriculum. Not that I don't have a curriculum. Don't misunderstand me. But I just, a lot of times what ends up happening in my class is I work on sort of recruiting students to get into my ensembles. I build relationships with them. One game that I do is called Music Basketball, and basically it's a review game that I think is really great. I don't want to elaborate too much on it just because I don't want to waste time. But I actually I think it's awesome because the students are really into it. And so I did it in an observation with one of my principals, and he basically said, it's more fun than it is review. Students are guessing sometimes, and how are you really assessing if they understand the material? And it was such a shock to me because I thought, look, here are these students that aren't musicians, but they're really competitive about this. They're really into it, and they really enjoy playing the game, even though it's music related. So that's another area where I'm really at a bit of a loss. I'm really looking for ways to assess and actually make sure my students are understanding the material and not just going through the motions. So I'm looking forward to learning some new strategies and ideas in this class that are going to help me really develop as a teacher and not just a musician in this sense. I really think this is something I need to become a better educator. A couple of the things that I really did like, just to wrap things up here, really liked that we were talking about technology in this reading. I believe that was, who was it? That was Jacobs and Heidi Hayes. Their book talked about, the importance of technology in the classroom, something I'm really big on. Twin sins, again, something that I've definitely been a victim of in my own curriculum creation and teaching. And then different styles Ornstein touched on in his reading, and the managerial, the behavioral. It's just really interesting, and just so much material, but so much that I've never heard of, and I'm really looking forward to being able to employ in my everyday teaching. So thanks so much for listening, and I'm really looking forward to the coming weeks and being able to develop as educators together. Thanks, guys.